Today's terrifying story was sent to us by one of our subscribers. They said these events span many years, and they still live in that very house where all of this happened. Sometimes, houses look completely normal from the outside. But the people living inside know, the moment night falls, everything changes. The silence deepens. And slowly, you begin to feel that you are not alone. Today's story is exactly like that. A house where everything seemed ordinary at first. But over time, things started happening, things that had no logical explanation. This is a true and terrifying account. And as it unfolds, you'll decide for yourself, was it all a coincidence, or something more? Let's begin. These horrifying stories I share with you, they belong to real people. Living people. Who have experienced things beyond explanation. Has this ever happened to you? Someone's talking to you on the phone, and strange sounds start coming through in the background? A heavy, unnatural voice, as if something else is present with them? I've experienced this. Because the people sharing these stories with me are not lying. May Allah protect us all from such entities that overpower human beings. Some stories shake even me. Let's head into today's terrifying accounts. And if you are easily frightened, I'm telling you right now, these stories are not for you. I'm not hyping this up. If you listen to this at night, you will feel afraid. If you have a weak heart, either skip this, or listen with friends, with family, or at least listen during the day. And recite Ayatul Kursi. Now, let's begin. Open Book Story 1, The House on 3 Floors. Jazai, Peshawar. My name is Jazai and I'm from Peshawar. I'm telling you all of this while sitting inside the house, the same house we've been connected to for the past 24 to 30 years. The strangest part. These events didn't happen in one single night. They unfolded piece by piece, across years, in a way that at first made us think, it's just a coincidence. But slowly, we understood, this house is silent, but it is not empty. The house has 3 floors. We live on the first. The second floor has 2 rooms, one belonging to a senior uncle, one to a younger uncle. And on the rooftop, in one corner, there are burn marks. As if something was placed there and set on fire. I've seen those marks with my own eyes, they don't fade with time. They just grow older. Years ago, due to a family matter, we had moved away from the house for a while. My grandmother and 2 uncles stayed behind. Those were the days of severe power outages. Cold Peshawar nights, and the electricity going out like life itself had left the room. That's when my elder uncle's daughter, my cousin, was watching a horror movie in her room. I found out about this later. But what happened in that moment affected our entire family. They say the moment the power went out, she changed. Screaming. Weeping. Gasping. A terror so raw, as if she were staring at something standing right in front of her. The family thought she was just startled by the film. But this fear was not ordinary. It was the kind of fear that turned everyone's hands and feet cold in an instant. A day later, my father and I went to see her. I'm still sitting in that same room, the very spot where she sat that day. I want you to believe me. Sitting in that room, remembering what happened, even the silence here feels heavy. She kept saying the same thing over and over. She was taking the name of our late grandfather, and pointing toward the door. The gap where the door opens. Where someone could enter. She kept saying, Dada G is coming, he's coming to take me. But it wasn't just the words. She said it with absolute certainty, as if she could truly see someone standing there. We tried to calm her, offered her water, changed the subject. But her eyes stayed fixed on that doorway. We left that day. And a few days later, we heard, she had been possessed. The family had her treated. Then word spread through the family that the entity had been burned out. I don't argue over this. But I know one thing, after that incident, my cousin moved to Tarbella. And the burn marks on the rooftop remained. Years later, we returned to that same house. At first, everything seemed fine. We were young, so many things went unnoticed. But in 2017, when our youngest uncle returned from the US, those became very memorable days. We'd sit together at night, sipping kawa tea in the cold, playing the board game Risk. We'd start around midnight and often play until far prayers. Laughter, banter, gossip, inside the room, everything felt alive. But outside, the silence of that time of night builds its own world. There were quite a few of us. 2 uncles' friends, 3 cousins, 1 uncle, and me. Our house had a cousin's house on one side and an empty plot on the other. No lights over there. No real comings and goings. People would just dump trash there. Walking past that plot at night always felt strange, even the wind moved differently there. And sounds carried further. One night, something strange happened near that empty plot. I noticed my cousin's father, who often took late-night walks, come out of the house. He walked toward the empty plot, stood there for a while, and then suddenly turned around and walked back, fast. Very fast. He wasn't just walking, he was almost running. He quickly opened his front door and slammed it shut so hard, we felt a jolt inside our room. I immediately told my uncle. "Uncle, why did he slam the door like that?" My uncle said, "We'll ask in the morning." But before morning came, the man showed up at our door himself. He sat down and immediately said, "You people sit outside till this late at night, and you don't even know what's out there." We asked, "What? What happened?" What he told us sent a cold wave through my body. He said, it was around 2 or 3 in the morning. I was walking. When I passed near the empty plot, there was an old man sitting there. White clothes. Perfectly clean white. At first, I thought maybe he was a poor man, or someone who had lost his way. But the moment I focused on him, he started to slowly grow taller. And then he became so tall, he reached the height of our 3rd rooftop. And then he disappeared toward our house, dissolving into the air. "I didn't feel the ground beneath my feet," he said. "I just panicked and ran straight home." When he finished, our room went completely silent. No jokes. No laughter. Just silence. The only sound was the steam rising from the kawa. Our biological mother had passed away. 5 of us are from our real mother, and 1 younger brother. From our stepmother, who was very young at the time. You know how little children are. They insist on climbing stairs. We tried to stop him, but he still wanted to go up. It was a winter night, and the upper portion was mostly empty, 1 uncle usually in Lahore, the other in Europe. Rooms closed. Silent. And at night, that place was genuinely scary. Jokingly, we said, "Fine, go on up. If something scares you, you'll come back down on your own." He climbed up. And within seconds, let out a scream that made our hearts leap. He came running down and went straight to my father. Grabbed him. He was trembling. His voice was broken. He said, "There's an old man up there. White clothes." He told me, "Come here." My first thought was, an old man in the house right now? I thought maybe it was a burglar. I grabbed my licensed pistol, took a torch, and ran toward the stairs. Heart pounding. But I kept myself composed. When I reached the top, I loaded the pistol and called out loudly, "Who's there? Come out." 3 times. No answer. No footsteps. No breathing. Just a strange silence. I checked my uncle's room, under the bed, the bathroom, every corner. The second uncle's room, same. The courtyard area with the covered cots, I lifted every cover. Nothing. Even the rooftop, I shone the torch everywhere. No one. When I came back down, my father asked, "Who was it?" I said, "No one. Nothing." My father simply said, "It's a different kind of creation. You cannot see them." From that night on, I understood something: not every unexplained thing is a thief. Sometimes, within a house's silence, something else exists. Something you can't see, but can feel. After that, life in the house went back to normal on the surface. Days were ordinary, people came and went, there was laughter. But when night fell, especially winter nights, the atmosphere changed. The upper portion stayed empty. Closed doors. Stale air in unused rooms. And a silence that crept into your mind. Around 2020 or 2021, a popular online game was going around. And our house always had poor signal on the lower floor. So we'd often go to the rooftop to use our phones. One night, around 1 or 2 a.m., cold, but still, I was up there downloading a game. Walking back and forth, checking the screen. As I walked toward my cousin's side of the rooftop, I saw him, my cousin, Alamgir. Sitting at the edge of the roof, his legs dangling down. He had a shawl on, head bowed, something in his hands like a book. Completely still. Not moving at all. I called out. No response. I called again, louder. Still nothing. I thought maybe he was upset about something. I said, joking, "If someone upset you at home, come sleep at ours, we'll go to college together in the morning." I kept talking to him. 5 minutes. 10. 15. He didn't move. Here's the thing. When you watch a real person, they always move at some point. They shift position, tilt their head, or at minimum, their body rises and falls with breath. But he was perfectly still. Like he wasn't a person, like someone had placed him there. I picked up small pebbles and threw them at him. 2, 3 times. No reaction. I stayed there for 30 to 40 minutes. Time passed. He didn't change. Eventually, when my game downloaded, I said one last time. "Come down and sleep with us if you can't sleep." No answer. I went to bed. In the morning, we had college. I casually asked him, "What were you doing on the roof last night at 2 a.m.? You weren't even responding." He immediately said, "Are you okay?" "I never went upstairs last night." I thought he was joking. I swore I saw him. He swore back, he was in his room, asleep. "If you don't believe me, ask my brother. He was awake all night." I went and asked. His brother confirmed. Alamgir was in the room the entire night. At that moment, the same cold chill ran through me, the one I'd felt the night we heard about the old man at the plot. Because what I saw, I couldn't have been wrong. I stood there for a long time, talking to it. When I told my father, he said, "You know what lives in this house. Yet you still go looking for it." After that, I stopped going to the rooftop alone at night the way I used to. We got used to the presence over time. Because the truth was, it had never harmed anyone. Never pushed anyone. Never injured anyone. It just made itself known. Objects would go missing for days, then reappear exactly where you'd already looked. We learned to live with it. Until one winter night, I was alone in my room, phone in hand, lights off. Only the screen lit my face. I felt something shift behind me. Looked, nothing. Started scrolling again. Felt it again. Something entering from the doorway, moving to the other side of the room. Turned on the light. Empty. Lights off. Sat back down. Again, a shadow passing out through the door. I put my phone on my chest and stared at the room. Nothing. The moment I picked the phone up, the movement returned. That's when it hit me, some things only move when you're not watching them. I turned off my phone. And quietly said, Alright. Do what you need to do. After that, I stopped chasing. Because we'd understood something, they are here. But they don't cause harm. And for that, we are grateful.